Guys, we are lucky to have Precious Miora here, and she's been at the Diddy parties, and she's about to spill some secrets.
Today, just to tell the truth, so hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll...
For decades, Shah Diddy reigned at the peak of fame, wealth, and influence, an icon of luxury, parties, and success. His name was synonymous with power in the music industry, but now, the spotlight that once celebrated him is shifted, revealing unsettling truths. The evidence mounting against him is not just overwhelming, it's shocking. It paints a picture of a man whose empire might not only be built on talent, but on a dark web of alleged control, manipulation, and buried secrets. What once seemed like invincible success now faces harsh scrutiny, leaving many to question everything.
Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but the shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession.
The scale of what investigators have uncovered is staggering. When federal agents raided Shay Diddy's properties in Los Angeles, Miami, and even his private jet earlier this year, they weren't just searching for a smoking gun. They uncovered a trove of incriminating material. Among the items seized were illegal firearms, including 3 modified rifles with defaced serial numbers, as well as ammunition. To make matters worse, investigators discovered a drum magazine capable of holding dozens of rounds. These weren't just hidden away in a dusty closet, they were allegedly part of a carefully curated collection kept within easy reach. This raises serious questions about what Diddy might have planned for such weapons. However, the weapons were just the tip of the iceberg. Investigators also uncovered a treasure trove of digital evidence. Devices retrieved from Diddy's properties allegedly contained hours of recordings and images tied directly to his infamous parties. These weren't just any extravagant celebrity gatherings. According to court documents, these events were meticulously planned and orchestrated, with Diddy allegedly having an entire team dedicated to ensuring everything, from accommodations to the guest list, was exactly as he desired. The recordings reportedly include shocking footage of these parties, showing acts that many are now calling deeply disturbing, adding another layer to the already dark portrait being painted of his actions.
In fact, occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, and not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, engaging and voluntarily engaging in this conduct and being in those spaces, consuming alcohol and things of that nature.
Then there's the matter of the mysterious supplies. Among the items collected during the raids were over 1,000 bottles of personal lubricants and oils. Yes, more than 1,000. These weren't casually scattered around his homes. They were allegedly stored in bulk, almost as if part of an inventory for an operation. Prosecutors claim this was a key aspect of Diddy's modus operandi, ensuring his notorious parties were fully equipped for whatever he had planned. It's a deeply unsettling detail, adding yet another troubling layer to the already damning case against him.
To the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs, this one has so many people talking, the disgraced music mogul, facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment, as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get here?
But the most shocking part of this story may be the fact that, even behind bars, Diddy appears to have found ways to remain in control. Federal prosecutors allege that while incarcerated in a Brooklyn detention center, Diddy was anything but idle. Incredibly, he's accused of making dozens, if not hundreds of calls to his associates, using not only his own phone line, but also those of other inmates to avoid detection. This is where things get wild. Transcripts of these calls reportedly reveal that Diddy was giving instructions to tie up certain loose ends. One particularly eyebrow-raising conversation had him cryptically instructing someone to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. If that sounds like a code for something far more sinister, you're not alone. Prosecutors certainly seem to think so. There's the infamous to-do list. Among the items seized from Diddy's belongings was a handwritten list that has caused a stir in the courtroom. On it were instructions for a family member to dig up dirt on 2 of his accusers. Imagine that. Sitting in a jail cell facing some of the most serious charges of his life, and instead of preparing a defense, he's allegedly plotting to discredit those accusing him. This revelation has left many wondering just how far Diddy is willing to go to protect himself. Prosecutors have called this list a smoking gun, a clear indication of his intent to obstruct justice and intimidate those who dare speak out against him.
In fact occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, and not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, engaging and voluntarily engaging in the conduct and being in those spaces, consuming alcohol and things of that nature.
The sheer audacity of it all has left even seasoned legal experts stunned. It's rare for someone facing charges of this magnitude to actively manipulate the case while under strict supervision, but that's exactly what Diddy is accused of doing. If the allegations are true, it's not just troubling, it's terrifying. It paints a picture of a man who believes he's untouchable, someone who thinks the rules don't apply to him. While the evidence is staggering, it's also unraveling Diddy's carefully constructed public persona. For years, he was the life of the party, the mogul who turned his rags-to-riches story into a billion-dollar empire. He was the man who brought chart-topping hits, glamorous fashion lines, and luxury brands to the world, a symbol of success and proof that anyone could achieve their dreams with hard work and ambition. But now, that image is crumbling. What's emerging in its place is far from inspiring, revealing a much darker side to the man once celebrated for his success.
Diddy would be throwing all his celebrity mates under the bus.
I mean, that could potentially be coming when it's time for court and when it's time for him to testify. But what we're seeing right now is how important public relations really are to Sean Combs. He's desperately trying to control the narrative behind bars, allowing his attorneys to do.
Take, for example, the claims surrounding Diddy's infamous parties. Once celebrated as glamorous events attended by the biggest names in Hollywood and music, they are now under intense scrutiny. Former attendees have come forward with disturbing stories, revealing that these gatherings were anything but luxurious. One former model, Precious Mir, spoke publicly about her experiences, describing how young, vulnerable attendees were treated like objects, there solely for the amusement of the powerful and influential. According to Mir, these parties were meticulously curated to exploit those who didn't know better. If that weren't enough, she also claimed there were hidden cameras in some of the most private areas of Diddy's homes, including bedrooms. While Diddy's legal team has denied these allegations, they have added another layer of intrigue to an already explosive case. Even more unsettling is the alleged culture of control surrounding Diddy's inner circle. Investigators claim that his staff played a crucial role in maintaining the illusion of normalcy while enabling his alleged behavior. They were responsible for staging rooms, arranging logistics, and ensuring everything appeared perfect on the outside. But behind the scenes, it was a very different story. Prosecutors alleged that Diddy's staff not only knew about his actions but actively participated in covering them up. This raises serious questions about how deep the complicity runs and whether others in Diddy's circle might soon find themselves facing legal trouble.
It's the interview, the series where we get in depth with amazing people, and I'm so honored to have this special guest with us here. Precious Muir, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, my love?
I'm great. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm making sure I center you a little bit more. There we go. So honored to have you here. You have some stories to tell. You've survived the white.
Then there's the matter of Diddy's attorney. In a move that has sent shockwaves through legal circles, his lead defense lawyer has resigned from the case. While the official reason hasn't been disclosed, many are speculating that the overwhelming evidence against Diddy made the case nearly impossible to defend. After all, when your client is caught on tape giving instructions to obstruct justice, and when the evidence against him fills room after room, there's only so much a lawyer can do. This rare and dramatic development underscores just how dire Diddy's situation has become. Of course, the question on everyone's mind is, how did it come to this? How did someone who seemed to have it all, fame, fortune, family, end up at the center of one of the most shocking scandals in recent memory? The answer appears to lie in the very empire Diddy worked so hard to build. For years, Diddy's persona was one of excess and indulgence, a carefully crafted image of a man who lived life on his own terms. But behind the glitz and glamour, there were always rumors, whispers of behavior that didn't quite align with the public persona. Now, those whispers have turned into a deafening roar, and the world is finally seeing a side of Diddy that many suspected, but few could prove.
Like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so it's, to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the video.
What happens next is anyone's guess. With a trial looming and more evidence coming to light every day, it's clear this story is far from over. But one thing is certain. The man who once seemed untouchable is now facing the fight of his life. Whether he can weather the storm remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. Shah Diddy Combs will never be seen the same way again. What makes his case even more fascinating is the ripple effect it's having on the entertainment industry as a whole. Diddy's downfall has sparked a broader conversation about power, privilege, and accountability, raising questions about who else might be hiding similar secrets. It's a story about more than just one man's alleged crimes. It's about the culture that allowed them to flourish. As more details emerge, it's becoming increasingly clear this reckoning was long overdue.
Early in the proceedings, I think it's only been about a month or a month and a half since he's been arraigned and held in detention. And so the investigations are always going to be a continuous and ongoing process. I'm sure at this point there's been an exchange of discovery. And not only that, but I think there's been a gag order placed on the attorneys with information that they can and cannot share.
The storm surrounding Shah Diddy Combs grows darker and more tangled with each passing day. With every new revelation, the once seemingly untouchable music mogul's empire appears to crumble further, weighed down by allegations that are both shocking and extensive. What began as whispers of inappropriate behavior has now snowballed into a full-blown scandal spanning decades, implicating not just Diddy, but an entire network of enablers and associates. It's a story that feels like it's ripped straight out of a Hollywood thriller, but this time it's real and the consequences are devastating.
So basically, I was a Playboy bunny. So a Playboy bunny representing New York State. The reason why I need to clarify this is when you're a Playboy bunny, you are part of the corporation, and you are a bunny, and you do have a title, and you wear a uniform, but you don't get a...
Let's dive into Diddy's alleged control over others, which paints a chilling picture of how power can corrupt absolutely. Investigators and former associates describe him as a man obsessed with control over his image, his empire, and even the lives of those around him. This wasn't just about commanding respect or being a perfectionist. The allegation suggests something far deeper and more sinister. Sources close to the case claim that Diddy didn't just seek influence, he wanted domination. He allegedly used manipulation, fear, and even brute force to achieve it.
Everyone keeps saying to me, like, how did you keep, why did you keep going? Why were you there? I'm like, it literally is around me. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. Like, I have no choice.
Take, for example, the claims surrounding his former partner, Kim Porter. Kim, a model and actress, shared a complicated relationship with Diddy, and together they had 3 children. To the public, they seemed like the picture-perfect couple, attending glamorous events hand in hand and raising their family in the lap of luxury. But behind the scenes, rumors pointed to a much darker dynamic. Close friends of Kim have spoken out, alleging that she lived in constant fear of Diddy's temper and that their relationship was riddled with toxicity. One particularly shocking claim comes from an unpublished manuscript reportedly written by Kim herself. In it, she accused Diddy of not only psychological manipulation, but also physical abuse. In one alleged incident, Diddy was said to have struck her so hard with a heavy object that she required immediate medical attention. Even more disturbing, it's rumored that Diddy used his wealth and connections to ensure hospital staff kept quiet about the incident. But it doesn't stop there. Kim's unpublished manuscript reportedly details a web of surveillance and control that sounds like something out of a spy movie. According to these claims, Diddy had her home wired with hidden devices, monitored her calls, and even hired people to follow her every move. These allegations paint a picture of a man so paranoid and controlling that he couldn't bear the thought of anyone in his circle having even a shred of privacy.
Kim Porter, that is Diddy's ex, who's also the mother of his 3 of his children, has detailed the alleged abuse that she suffered at his hands. And this is all in a...
Perhaps the most chilling detail of all is the alleged discovery of Kim Porter's personal journal and other notes. Sources claim these writings contained damning details about Diddy's behavior and hinted at her desire to break free from his grip. What makes this even more haunting is the timing. Kim passed away in 2018, reportedly from pneumonia, but her sudden and unexpected death raised eyebrows. While no official foul play was reported, those close to her openly questioned whether there was more to the story. Former R&B artist Al B. Sure, a longtime friend of Kim and the father of her eldest son, has even called for a full investigation, claiming that her passing was far from natural. He believes Kim knew too much about Diddy, his inner circle, and the secrets that could destroy everything. If these allegations are true, it's easy to understand why some might want to silence her. But Kim Porter isn't the only one whose life was allegedly overshadowed by Diddy's need for control. Former employees and close associates have come forward with similar stories of intimidation and fear. According to court filings and insider accounts, Diddy cultivated an environment where loyalty wasn't just expected, it was demanded. Those who dared to step out of line or question his authority reportedly found themselves cut off, blacklisted, or worse. One former staff member described working for Diddy as living in a constant state of anxiety, always fearing when his temper might erupt. And when it did, the consequences could be severe. There are even claims that Diddy once threw a heavy object at an assistant during a heated argument, narrowly missing their head.
Really put their hands on women really is people who have men who have feminine traits. So, it really takes a coward to put his hands on a woman. A man is so strong enough, we can just walk away. You can do, there's so many different things that you can do other than get upset, put your hands on a woman. But that comes from a man who's not quite a grown man.
But physical aggression wasn't the only weapon Diddy allegedly used to maintain control. Sources claim he also relied heavily on financial manipulation. Employees and associates were reportedly lured in with promises of wealth and success, only to find themselves trapped in a web of dependence. By controlling their paychecks, living arrangements, and even career opportunities, Diddy allegedly kept people under his thumb. One insider described it as golden handcuffs, a life of luxury that came at the cost of freedom. And then there are the parties. Once the stuff of celebrity legend, these gatherings are now being re-examined in a much more sinister light. Diddy's infamous events, often dubbed white parties for their strict dress codes, were attended by the biggest names in Hollywood, music, and sports. These were the kinds of soirees where A-listers mingled with rising stars. The champagne flowed freely and the night seemed limitless. But according to multiple accounts, these parties had a darker side. Former attendees have described them as carefully staged spectacles, designed to blur boundaries and test limits. One former model said she felt like fresh meat the moment she walked through the door, surrounded by powerful men who saw her as nothing more than an object for their amusement.
Very, very dominant. Like, he wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, it is scary because you think, this person or possibly his social network or the people he's around could make or break your...
Then there's the matter of hidden cameras. Yes, you heard that right, hidden cameras. Several former attendees, including Playboy bunny Precious Mirror, have alleged that certain rooms in Diddy's mansions were outfitted with concealed recording devices. While it's not uncommon for high-profile homes to have security systems, the idea that cameras might have been placed in private areas like bedrooms raises all kinds of questions. What was being recorded and, more importantly, why? Though there's no concrete evidence to prove these claims, the mere suggestion of such behavior adds another layer of unease to an already disturbing narrative. But perhaps the most shocking allegations to emerge from these events involve the way young and vulnerable attendees were reportedly treated. Precious Mirror has spoken out about the predatory atmosphere at some of these parties, describing how newcomers were often plied with substances and encouraged to let their guard down. According to Mir, this wasn't just about having a good time. It was about identifying who could be manipulated. They wanted to see who was easy to manipulate, she said. It's a chilling allegation that suggests these parties weren't just about excess, they were about exploitation.
You say the wrong thing, or you complain, or I don't know, there's an element where you just, I guess manipulated in a way to make you feel like, oh, you have to please everyone around you. You can't say anything wrong. You don't want to say a bad thing, or when they're constantly asking, would you like to do and you're like, well, I don't do, and they're like, well, why don't you?
If you say the wrong thing, or you complain, or I don't know, there's an element where you're just manipulated in a way to make you feel Like you have to please everyone around you, you can't say anything wrong, you don't want to say something bad. These were the words of a former attendee describing the overwhelming pressure to conform in Diddy's world. It's a chilling insight into the psychological manipulation many claim to have faced. An environment where people were coerced into complying, made to feel as though their worth was dependent on their ability to keep quiet and please those in power. Yet, for all the shocking claims, perhaps the most troubling aspect of the story is the culture of silence that allowed it to continue for so long. Sources close to Diddy's inner circle have described a strict code of secrecy drilled into everyone who worked for him, from assistants to bodyguards. Everyone knew the rules. What happens in Diddy's world stays in Diddy's world. Breaking that code wasn't just frowned upon, it was seen as an act of betrayal. And for those who dared to speak out, the repercussions could be swift and severe. One former employee described how they were immediately blacklisted after leaving Diddy's employ, unable to find work in the industry again. So, how did it all come crashing down? The answer lies in a combination of courage and timing. Over the past year, a growing number of people have come forward to share their stories, emboldened by a cultural shift that is finally starting to hold powerful men accountable. From former partners to employees to partygoers, the accounts paint a picture of a man whose charm and charisma masked a much darker side. While Diddy has denied all allegations, the sheer volume of claims and consistency of details makes it hard to dismiss them outright.
Civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and at the hands of Diddy.
But the story doesn't end here. In fact, it's far from over. With a trial looming and more revelations likely to emerge, the world is watching as one of the most powerful figures in entertainment faces the fight of his life. Will justice be served, or will Diddy find a way to reclaim his throne? One thing is certain, the truth has a way of coming out, and when it does, it has the power to change everything. The only question is, how much further will this story go? And who else might be caught in its wake? Leave your comments below and share your thoughts on these shocking revelations. Until next time, stay tuned for more jaw-dropping celebrity gossip.